Good. We'll go and get started. Good morning. Thank you for joining. It's August 3rd, 2022 for a regular scheduled Board of County Commission zoning hearing. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a flag given to Anthony. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you for any participants being here today and staff. Obviously, we had to move to this room today due to construction of the courthouse. So bear with the new arrangements here. And I'd like to welcome our hearing examiners are both here this morning. Amanda and Donna, thank you for being here. Anthony, you want first case?
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Anthony Rodriguez, Manager of the Zoning Section and Community Development. First case this morning is case number REZ 2021-00015, 1130 Laurel Drive. This is a request to rezone a 9.3-acre parcel located on the south side of Laurel Drive from Agricultural District AG2 to Residential Multiple Family RM10. The hearing examiner did recommend approval, and there were no participants of record on this case. We are available for any questions.
Great. Any questions for staff at this time from the board? Okay. Would the applicant wish to make a presentation or address the board? Being none, we have no participants. We'll come back to the board for a motion.
I'll move approval.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Come on. I didn't see you back there. Sorry. With the poll, I couldn't see you. So this is about the new arrangements, a little bit different.
And all I wanted to say was, I'm sorry, Sarah Spector with Retzel and Andrus on behalf of the applicant. I'm here to answer any questions that you have, but with staff support and the hearing examiner's support, we would just ask that you also approve this.
Great. Thank you. Okay. We'll come back to the board for any questions or discussions or a motion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as the District 4 Commissioner, I agree with the hearing examiner's recommendation and move approval.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussions? Any objections? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you. Next case.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Adam Mendez. I'm a planner with the zoning section. The case before you is DCI 2021-00052. The request is to rezone 2.74 acres from a retail and office-oriented commercial plan development to allow a self-storage indoor warehouse commercial plan development. The hearing examiner's recommendation is approval subject to conditions, and there were no hearing participants of record.
Great.
Staff and the applicant are available for any questions.
Any questions for staff at this time? Would the applicant wish to address the board? Yes, sir. There you are. Okay.
Good morning, Veronica Martin with TDM Consulting representing the applicant. We do have full staff support and the hearing examiner's recommendation of approval. We don't have anything new to add, but I am available to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we'll come back to the board for any questions, discussions, or motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Wayne. We have a second by Commissioner Greenwell. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you. Next case.
Next case this morning is DCI 2021-00031, Panda Express Lehigh Acres. This is a request to amend an existing commercial plan development to create an additional outparcel with a fast food restaurant, to amend and establish a new schedule of uses to include fast food restaurants, and to request 3 additional deviations. The hearing examiner did recommend approval with conditions and deviations, and there was 1 participant of record on this case. We're here for any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time? No? Would the applicant wish to address the board?
The applicant agrees with the hearing examiner or staff. If you'd like a presentation, let us know.
Okay. Okay. At this time, we'll call participants record. Amen Elgenda. Amen Elgenda here. Okay, we'll come back to the board for any questions, discussion, or motion.
Chairman, I move that we move this forward.
We have 1 motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Next case.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brandon Dunn with the Planning Section, here to discuss the last 2 cases. These are transmittal hearings for comprehensive plan amendments. The first one, CPA 2022-00005, is a privately initiated text amendment. The request of this text amendment is to amend LEAP Plan Policy 24.4.4 to clarify its applicability to commercial uses and not to all non-residential uses as the policy currently states. You can see the change here in front of you. It is a simple text change to strike non-residential and replace it with commercial, and also add a cross-reference to Policy 6.1.2. This change will align the intent of the policy with how it was discussed and how it was intended as part of CPA 2008-17. The request will not increase the number of dwelling units or increase the design standards that are required for commercial uses within Greater Pine Island. The map along the right-hand side identifies the coastal rural future land use category, which is where this policy is applicable to. Staff has reviewed it, finds that it is consistent with the original intent of policy 24.4.4. The applicant did go to the community planning, conduct a community information meeting consistent with objective 17.3. The proposed amendment is consistent with coastal rural future land use category, and the proposed amendment is consistent with policy 2.1.3 and 24.4.4. Staff and the LPA recommend the BOC transmit the proposed amendments. We're here for any questions. The applicant is also here if you have questions.
Any questions for staff at this time? No?
I'll gladly move the item.
Second. Excuse me, any public comment on this case? Or any public comment? We'll come back to the board.
No, I'll gladly move the
We have a
item.
motion with Commissioner Ring. We have a second by Commissioner Hammond. Any other discussions? Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you. Bayshore Ranch.
The final case today is CPA 2021-0005. This is a privately initiated text amendment. The request is to amend the LEAP plan to provide criteria to allow incentives for the creation, preservation, restoration of rare and unique upland habitats on land within the rural future land use category that is rezoned to a planned development. This request expands on the applicability of amendments also under consideration for Owl Creek. The Owl Creek amendments were transmitted by this board to the state reviewing agencies on April 20th of this year. The Owl Creek amendments were limited to North Olga. This would expand that applicability to all rural lands within unincorporated Lee County. These amendments also add a couple additional criteria to try to limit its applicability in some way. The property must be located on, must be 10 acres or larger, and it must have the ability to connect to public water and sewer. And the soils must be suitable for the survival of the rare and unique plant species, plant habitats. The proposed amendments provide standards and criteria for implementing the preservation, creation of rare and unique upland habitats. This is consistent with Goal 123, Objective 123.1, and policies 123.1.1, 123.1.5, 123.2.2, and 123.2.9. The proposed amendments encourage the protection of rare and unique through unique site design. This is consistent with policy 123.2.4, 123.2.6, and 123.2.15. In addition, the proposed amendments will allow for slight increases to our residential population to help us accommodate more population. This is consistent with Goal 5 and 135 and also policy 135.1.9. Finally, the objective is consistent with Objective 2.1 as it allows us to accommodate more population on the same land, thereby foregoing or delaying the need to develop lands further out. In conclusion, staff finds that these amendments are consistent with Objectives 123.1 and 123.2 of the LEAP plan as they provide standards for incentivizing rare and unique upland habitats. They are consistent with Goal 35 and 135 and Policy 135.1.9, as well as Florida statutes to help us accommodate our anticipated population. And the required developments, it also requires developments to utilize that are utilizing this incentive to have access to an arterial roadway and public water and sewer. So that'll help to assure that we do have adequate public services available at the time. Both the staff and the LPA did recommend the BOCC transmit the proposed amendments. and we are available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time?
Mr. Chair, if I may, just on this one, ask if they could you, so I hear all the terms and they sound really good. Could you just explain in like a plain English, maybe give a plain English example of how this would work in a practical setting?
So within the rural future land use category, the standard density is one dwelling unit per acre. This incentive would allow, if an applicant or a developer was to protect, restore, or create additional rare and unique habitats, that they could get it up to an additional acre or additional unit for each acre of that they're creating, protecting, or restoring. Now there's a limit on this. It's not like they could cover the whole site with rare and unique species. Otherwise, there would be no room for the development part of it. So this would take place kind of within the indigenous preserve that's already required as part of our land development code. So it will work kind of within the existing framework of our development, the way we do development here, but it's not going to be the whole site. It's going to be for any restored areas of rare and unique or created or protected areas of rare and unique, which could potentially be 30 to 50% of the property.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, we've seen in the work that we've done so far with our preservation overlay, you know, it's not a matter of just setting land aside, it's actually restoring it to a functioning ecosystem too, and this appears to further that goal. So thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Any other questions at this time from staff? No? Okay, thank you. Any public comment on this item?
We don't really have public comment. We have a team here, but to further respond to your...
If you could go to the podium, Neil, just for the record, please.
We have a presentation, we have the team here, but to further respond to Commissioner Hammond's question, we do have an idea how that applies in the real world. We do know that one of the concerns in the area is fecal chloroform from a water quality standpoint. By requiring the project to connect to central water and sewer, you don't exacerbate that problem. And you're right, it will function in terms of open space percentages, like the EPCO amendments that you folks have done, where you're improving, you know, flowways and open space.
Thank you.
You want a PowerPoint?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
The board request any more information?
And that was Neil Montgomery representing the applicant for the record.
Thank you, Dave. We'll come back to the board. Any other discussions or motion?
I'll gladly move the item.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. And that's the last case, I believe. We are adjourned. Thank you.